Mandalore isn't just a planet. It's a promise. A vow to stand together, to fight for honor, to wear your helmet like a badge and your courage like armor. But right now, and that promise is in pieces. Walk its surface, and all you'll see is ash. Crumpled starships half buried in sand. Broken helmets scattered like discarded toys. Forges that once roared now cold as the void. The Empire didn't just conquer Mandalore. They tried to erase it. Burned its cities, poisoned its soil, turned clans against each other until Mandalorian went from a badge of pride to a whisper of grief. But here's the thing about Mandalorians. You can burn their planet, but you can't kill their spirit. They're rebuilding, quietly, fiercely, with tricks up their sleeves and fire in their veins. Let's dive into how what people left for dead are clawing back their future, with ingenuity, grit, and a whole lot of Beskar. First, let's talk about the mess they're working with. The Empire's Great Purge didn't just leave bodies, it left chaos. Clans that once fought side by side now distrust each other, thanks to Imperial propaganda and betrayals. The soil is toxic in places, too poisoned to farm or build on. Beskar mines? Most were collapsed or seized by Imperial remnants, who sell the metal to the highest bidder. And let's not forget the other threats. Pirates looting what's left, warlords trying to carve up the ruins, and the ever-looming shadow of Thrawn's return. By all accounts, rebuilding Mandalore should be impossible. But Mandalorians don't do impossible. They do. We'll find a way. Take their resource game. These guys are masters of turning trash into treasure. Beskar is their lifeblood, right? It's what makes their armor indestructible, their weapons legendary. So when the mines ran dry or got taken over, they didn't panic. They scavenged. Teams of Mandalorians, young and old, warriors and artisans, combed the ruins of Sundari and Keldabe, digging through collapsed forges and sunken starships to find scraps of Beskar. A broken gauntlet here, a shard of a chest plate there, even old bullet casings. They melt it down, reforge it, and turn it into new armor for the next generation. One blacksmith, an elder named Paz, not the one you're thinking of, his cousin, told me he once made a full helmet from 3 broken pieces of a Imperial Stormtrooper's Beskar-plated shield. Waste not, he said, tapping the helmet's edge. Mandalore's strength isn't in the mines. It's in how we reuse what's left. Then there's the alliances. Smart, risky, and totally un-Mandalorian, at least, how the old guard saw it. For centuries, Mandalorians prided themselves on being self-reliant. We don't need outsiders, they'd say. But after the Purge, they learned the hard way that going it alone gets you wiped out. So Bo-Katan, once a rebel, now a unifier, started making calls. She reached out to the New Republic reluctantly, because Mandalorians and politicians don't mix for help detoxing the soil. She struck deals with Trandoshan scavengers who hate Mandalorians, but love Beskar to share loot from Imperial caches. She even sat down with the Children of the Watch, the clan that once shunned her for removing her helmet, and said, "We can argue about rules later. First, we need a home." It wasn't easy. There were shouting matches, threats, even a few blaster shots fired. Mandalorians communicate with violence, don't they? But in the end, they agreed clan loyalty matters, but Mandalore matters more. That's the genius of their strategy, putting pride aside to get the job done. And let's not sleep on their use of Mandalore's terrain. The planet's not just ash and ruins. It's a maze of caves, underground tunnels, and natural fortresses. The Empire never fully conquered. The Mandalorians are turning those into hidden bases, forges deep in the mountains, training grounds in ancient cave systems, farms in underground valleys where the soil is still good. They're using the ruins as cover. Pirates fly over Sundari and see nothing but rubble. But beneath the surface, forges are glowing, warriors are training, kids are learning to shoot a blaster. It's guerrilla rebuilding, basically. They don't meet their enemies head-on. Not yet, anyway. They hide, they grow, they plan. As Din Djarin, who's gone from lone gunfighter to clan leader, put it, you don't rebuild a planet with a blaster. You rebuild it with patience, with people who care more about the future than the past. But here's the real fuel behind their effort: unwavering determination. This isn't just about bricks and Beskar. It's about proving the Empire wrong. Proving that Mandalorians aren't just warriors, they're survivors. I met a kid no older than 12 named Cora who lost both parents in the Purge. She's not old enough to fight, but she spends every day in the forges helping Paz melt down Beskar scraps. "I want to make armor for the next generation," she told me, "so they never have to run like I did." That's the Mandalorian spirit. It's a single parent teaching their kid to assemble a blaster. It's Bo-Katan, staying up all night negotiating with Trandoshans, even when she wants to punch them. It's Din Djarin, a man who once wandered the galaxy alone, now leading a clan because he knows Mandalorians don't thrive in isolation. The path to reclaiming Mandalore is still long. There will be more fights, more betrayals, more days where it feels like all their work is for nothing. But that's okay. Mandalorians don't fear the fight. They embrace it. They're building more than a planet. They're rebuilding a legacy. A legacy where honor isn't just about wearing a helmet, but about standing together. Where strength isn't just about how hard you punch, but how hard you keep going when everything's against you. So the next time you hear someone say, Mandalore is dead, laugh, because beneath the ash, fires are burning, forges are glowing, warriors are training. The Mandalorian spirit isn't just alive, it's stronger than ever. And soon, the galaxy will remember why you never bet against a Mandalorian fighting for their home. Let me paint this for you. You land on Mandalore's surface, and the first thing you smell is ash. Not the soft, campfire kind that fades by morning, but the thick, acrid stuff that sticks in your throat, that tastes like burnt metal and lost hope. The second thing you see? Ruins. Miles and miles of them. This wasn't just a planet that got attacked. It was a planet that got erased. And to understand how it happened, you got to start with two things: a sword and an empire that knew exactly how to exploit a people's pride. First off, the darksaber. Let's get one thing straight. This wasn't just a fancy lightsaber with a black blade. It was Mandalore's heart. For centuries, whoever wielded it was seen as the rightful leader, someone who'd earned the respect of clans who could unite them against threats. But here's the problem with hearts. They're easy to break. After Pre Vizsla died, the darksaber fell into Maul's hands. A Sith, an outsider, someone who had no business leading Mandalorians. Bo-Katan refused to follow him, smart move. But other clans? They split. Some thought, a leader's a leader, even if he's a monster. Others sided with Bo-Katan, calling Maul a usurper. Suddenly, Mandalore wasn't fighting outsiders. It was fighting itself. And the Empire? They watched. They waited. Then they struck. You know the story of the Great Purge, right? The Empire rolled in with Star Destroyers, with stormtroopers, with flamethrowers, and they didn't just fight, they scorched. Sundari, Mandalore's capital, once a glittering city of spires and forges. Now, it's a skeleton. The Senate building's dome is crumpled like a tin can. The forges, where generations of Mandalorians melted Beskar into armor, are cold, their walls blackened by fire. I walked through the ruins once with a Mandalorian guide who had to stop every 5 minutes to wipe ash off his helmet and saw a Beskar chest plate half buried in the dirt. It was split down the middle, like someone had shot it with a laser cannon. My guide knelt down, picked it up, and said, "This was my father's." He didn't say anything else. He didn't need to. And it wasn't just cities. The landscapes? The Empire poisoned the soil with chemicals, so nothing grows, not even the tough, scrubby grass that used to cover the plains. The deserts. They're littered with the wreckage of starfighters. Mandalorian, Imperial, it doesn't matter. They're just rusted heaps now. The strongholds? The ancient ones, built into mountains where clans hid during wars? The Empire blew their gates off, stripped them of Beskar, and left them to rot. I saw one stronghold, once home to the Kryze clan, with its walls covered in graffiti. Imperial symbols, slurs, Mandalore is dead. My guide spat on the ground. They wanted us to see it, to know they'd won. But the worst part? It's not the ruins, it's the people. The Empire didn't just kill Mandalorians. They scattered them. They put them in refugee camps, on random planets, in ships that drifted through the Outer Rim. Families got split up. Kids grew up never seeing Mandalore, never holding a Beskar weapon, never hearing the old stories about clan loyalty. I met a kid named Kale once, on Tatooine. He was 12. Wore a beat-up Mandalorian helmet too big for his head that his mom had given him. "What's Mandalore like?" he asked me. I didn't know what to say. How do you tell a kid his home is a graveyard? His mom, she'd fought in the Purge, stepped in and said, "It's where the stars are brighter, where the forges roar, where we don't have to hide." She was lying. But what else do you tell a kid? And the pride? That's the part that hurts the most. Mandalorians aren't just warriors, they're proud. They wear their armor like a badge. They talk about their clans like their royalty. They don't back down from a fight. But after the Purge, that pride turned to shame. I met a Mandalorian named Jax who'd taken off his helmet, who worked as a mechanic on Coruscant, who never told anyone where he was from. "If people know I'm Mandalorian," he said, "they either laugh or stare. They call us the Dead Clan, the ones who lost their planet." He paused, then added, "I used to wear my armor every day. Now it's in a box under my bed." That's the emotional toll. When a people's identity gets taken from them, when they stop being Mandalorians and start being refugees. But here's the thing. You can burn a planet, but you can't burn a memory. The Mandalorians who survived, they carry pieces of home with them. A Beskar shard, a clan banner, A story about a forge or a battle or a leader who fought until the end. I saw an old woman on Navarro teach her granddaughter how to fold a Mandalorian flag out of cloth. She didn't have the real thing, so she used a scrap of red fabric. This is what we're fighting for, she said, pressing the flag into the kid's hands. Not a planet, a promise. So when you look at Mandalore's ashes, don't see a graveyard. See a pause, a breath. The Empire thought they'd killed Mandalore, but they didn't. They just made it wait. And the Mandalorians? They're good at waiting. They're good at fighting back. Want me to tell you about the time I saw a group of Mandalorians sneak back to Mandalore to retrieve a sacred Beskar hammer? It's a crazy story. They had to outrun Imperial remnants, fight a pack of raiders, and climb a mountain in a storm. But it's proof Mandalore's not dead. Not yet. Mandalorian spirit isn't some fancy slogan on a banner. It's not about Beskar armor or cool weapons, though those help. It's the fire that makes a Mandalorian stand up when their planet's in ashes, that makes them call a stranger brother if they fight back to back, that makes them hold on to honor even when the galaxy's trying to tear it from them. This is the stuff that survived the Purge, the stuff that's bringing Mandalore back from the dead. Let's break down the core of who they are, the legends that fuel them, and why their hope isn't just wishful thinking. It's a warrior's promise. The core tenets: honor that doesn't break, family that doesn't fade. First off, honor Mandalorian honor isn't about being nice. It's about keeping your word, even if it kills you. If a Mandalorian says they'll watch your back, they'll take a blaster shot for you. If they owe you a debt, they'll pay it with Beskar, with blood, whatever it takes. I met a Mandalorian named Vex once, who spent 3 years tracking down a pirate who stole a crate of Beskar from his clan. The pirate was hiding on a backwater planet, surrounded by goons. Vex went in alone. When I asked why he didn't call for backup, he said, "The debt was mine. My honor, my fight. That's the code. No shortcuts, no excuses." Then there's family. Mandalorians don't care about blood. Family is who you fight with, who you bleed with, who you rebuild with. A foundling taken in as a baby? Just as much a clan member as the leader's kid. Din Djarin, raised by the Children of the Watch, no biological Mandalorian blood, proved that when he risked everything to save Grogu. "This is my clan," he told Bo-Katan, and no one argued. Because Mandalorian family isn't about where you're from, it's about who you choose to protect. And when the Empire scattered them, that family bond didn't break. It stretched across the galaxy, a Mandalorian on Tatooine sending Beskar scraps to a refugee camp on Naboo, a clan leader on Navarro sharing rations with a lone warrior passing through. They're scattered, but they're still connected by that unspoken promise: we don't leave our own. Combat prowess? Yeah, they're great with blasters and swords, but that's not the point. Mandalorian fighting isn't about being the strongest. It's about being the smartest, the most stubborn. They train from kidhood to adapt, fight with a broken blaster, survive on a desert planet, outthink an enemy twice their size. During the Purge, Mandalorian warriors didn't just charge at Imperial Star Destroyers. They used hit-and-run tactics, hid in caves, sabotaged supply lines. They lost, but they made the Empire bleed for every inch of Mandalore. And perseverance? That's the glue. They've been conquered before, by the Republic, by Sith, by warlords, but they always come back. Burn their cities? They'll build new ones. Steal their Beskar? They'll scavenge more. Kill their leaders? New ones will rise. As the old saying goes, Mandalorians don't die. We regroup. The legends that fuel them, heroes who never fade you. Can't talk about Mandalorian spirit without talking about the legends. Heroes who shaped their identity, even in ruin. Take Tara Vizsla, the first Mandalorian Jedi. He forged the Darksaber not as a weapon of conquest, but as a symbol of unity. Mandalorians aren't just warriors, he said. We're builders. That idea stuck. Even when the Darksaber became a source of conflict, it still reminded them that their true strength was in standing together. When Bo-Katan wielded it to unify the clan's post-purge, she wasn't just holding a lightsaber, she was holding Tari's vision. Then there's Jaster Muriel, the leader of the true Mandalorians. He fought to bring honor back to his people when clans were tearing each other apart. "We're not savages," he told his followers. "We're warriors with a code." Jaster died fighting, but his legacy lived on in clones like Cody and Rex, who carried Mandalorian discipline into the Clone Wars, and in warriors like Din Djarin, who still quotes his code. Even now, Mandalorian parents tell their kids stories about Jaster, how he protected foundlings, how he refused to fight dirty, how he believed in Mandalore's goodness. And let's not forget Bo-Katan herself. She's been through it all, losing her sister, fighting Maul, watching her planet burn, being rejected by her clan. But she never quit. When the Purge ended, she didn't hide. She started gathering Mandalorians, one by one. "We're not done," she told a group of refugees on Navarro. Mandalore isn't a planet. It's us. And we're still here. She's the living proof of Mandalorian perseverance. Scared, scarred, but unbreakable. The hope. Traditions that light the way. Back, here's the thing about Mandalorian traditions. They're not just old habits. They're lifelines. Take Beskar forging. It's not just melting metal. It's a ritual passed down from parent to child where you infuse the armor with your hopes for the future. A blacksmith will whisper to the Beskar as they hammer it, "Protect my clan. Protect our home." When Mandalorians scavenge scraps and reforge them into armor, they're not just making gear. They're rebuilding their identity. Or the stories. Every Mandalorian kid grows up hearing tales of Mandalore's glory, the forges of Sundari, the battles won against Sith, the clans uniting to defend their planet. When they're scattered on foreign worlds, those stories keep them connected. An elder on Coruscant will gather the kids around a campfire, or a busted heater, in this case, and tell them about the time Mandalorians fought off an Imperial fleet with just starfighters and courage. "That's who we are," they'll say. "That's what we're fighting to get back." And the warrior ethos? It's not about fighting for the sake of fighting. It's about fighting for something worth saving. Mandalorians aren't rebuilding Mandalore to conquer other planets. They're rebuilding it to have a home, to raise kids who don't have to run from stormtroopers, to forge Beskar not for war, but for protection, to honor the ones they lost. That's the hope. The idea that their spirit, their code, their traditions will turn ashes into forges, ruins into cities, and scattered refugees into a clan again. Mandalore's not back yet. There will be more fights, more losses, more days where it feels like the darkness will never lift. But Mandalorians don't fear darkness. They carry light with them. The light of honor, the light of family, the light of legends, the light of traditions. They're not just warriors. They're survivors. They're builders. They're Mandalorians. And soon, the galaxy will remember what that means.